We will call this study session to order, so let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the clerk want to take the roll call, please.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Here.
Councilmember Roy.
Present.
Councilmember Hess.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Crossman.
He's director on the voting.
Councilmember Blair.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Got my name. Present.
Mayor Pinto.
Here.
So we are going to have a state of the library presentation by Cheryl Haywood from Timberland. By Zoom, I believe.
Yes, good evening. Can you see me and hear me? Okay, good evening, Mayor DePinto and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to provide to you and share with you the highlights of 2021 and some of the highlights of what we're working on this year. Is there an echo or are we okay? I think we're good. Okay. So I wanted you to know that your Thurston County trustees on the Timberland Regional Library Board of Trustees is our current president, Nicolette Oliver, and Mary Beth Harrington. And as you know, Erica McCaleb is your library manager for the Elm Timberland Library. You should have received a link to the annual report, which is available at trl.org. Wanted to mention that throughout last year, we continued to innovate and adapt to changing needs, and staff demonstrated their nimbleness and adaptability to changing circumstances. So I'm going to share some of the highlights across the 5 counties we serve, which is Thurston and Mason, Lewis, Pacific, and Grays Harbor counties. And they are highlights based on our strategic direction that focuses on 2020 to 2024, 3 areas, which are number 1, local communities and increasing the library's presence in underserved communities. 2, partnering with agencies to support diverse communities. And 3, empowering children from birth to 5, clarifying what they need and how to provide for those needs. So the highlights are that Wi-Fi was upgraded at all the 29 libraries and at our service center. And I would like to point out that we receive a 70% reimbursement from the FCC for all of our telecommunication needs. In terms of birth to 5, we reclassified 13,000 picture books across 29 libraries into 14 general themes so that toddlers and preschoolers and their parents and caregivers can find new reading adventures more easily. We introduced a new format called Box for Children, VOX. These are talking picture books in English and in Spanish that young children can listen and read along to that do not require a computer or a tablet or a phone. We added preloaded audiobooks for all ages, which are called playaways. We also added something called playaway launchpads that have content focusing on STEM and reading for birth to 5. These are all new formats for us, in addition to ongoing all different types of story times that are for babies and toddlers and family and bilingual story times available at Timberland's YouTube channel at trl.org. Wanted to mention, we added a lot of new resources, way too many to mention here. I do want to mention 2 of them in particular. There is a full list in the annual report. The first is called ABC Mouse, which is early learning ages 2 through 8. This is a resource for reading, math, and science. We have been providing in-library access for many years, and now you can access it from anywhere outside the library, as long as you go to trl.org and use your library card number. And then the second one I want to mention briefly is called Press Reader, one word. This gives you access to 7,000 world newspapers and magazines and includes content from over 120 countries and 60 different languages. Wanted to also mention that we installed Timberland story trails in all the 5 counties in partnership with cities and counties in the U.S. Forest Service. These walking trails are a fun and engaging way for families to combine a love of nature and a love of reading. This means that the book, a picture book, is deconstructed along a path for families to read and answer questions to. There's a full list at trl.org. Picture books are updated depending on the city and the partnership. I know that Erica is working with the city of Yelm to create a story trail in your area. I just don't know if all the details have been, finalized. And then I want to mention that all the 29 libraries continue to be connection sites in the WorkSource system, focusing on helping the job seeker and the small business owner. I personally am serving my second 3-year term as a Pack Mountain board member appointed by the county commissioners in the 5 counties. And that I personally, as a board member, have been asked to oversee the One Stop Committee, a subcommittee of the full board that oversees WorkSource in the 5 county area. So lots going on in WorkSource and the way their business model is changing. Just wanted to mention again that all the libraries are connection sites. Now for usage in 2021, Yelm library card holders checked out 82,095 physical items and downloaded 48,499 ebooks, e-audiobooks, and e-magazines. And I would like to point out that e-magazines now, you have access to 3,400 titles from around the world, including obviously this country. Whereas before the pandemic, we had about 200 or 250 titles. We now have 3,400 titles. So a couple of initiatives. Well, I do want to mention that we opened up a 28th library and a 29th library. They are both what we call demonstration libraries, Lucky Day libraries. One is at Capitol Mall in West Olympia, and then the other one is in Hawks Prairie in Lacey. We were able to do this for a variety of reasons. Demonstration means that we're demonstrating to the public how much it is needed, and this is what we call internally a Lucky Day collection, which means that these are best-selling items that you don't have to wait a very long holds list on to get access to bestsellers for all ages. We do have smaller Lucky Day collections in our local libraries, including the Yelm Timberland Library, but this is a full-fledged Lucky Day collection at those 2. So the mall one is a 2-year lease, which ends next April. And then the Hawks Prairie one goes on. It just opened up in February of this year. It goes for a 3-year lease. And then the decision would be a decision of the Board of Trustees. So your library card is recognized, of course, throughout the 29 libraries. So you can pick up and check out items at Yelm, or you're going down, to Ocean Park or Packwood. You can go into those libraries and you can also check out items there or leave items there. So a couple of major initiatives this year. Beginning January 1st of this year, we have new open hours. And for Yelm, that meant 1 more extra hour a week from 45 to 46 hours per week, which means that Tuesday and Wednesday is 10 to 7, Thursday and Friday 9 to 6, and Saturday 9 to 5. Beginning June 1st until the end of August 31st, we have the summer library program. And Erica, who's on vacation right now, was letting me know that there will be a creative playtime for young children and a game for teens and playtime in the park. And that the children's area in the Yelm Timberland Library has been rearranged so that there's twice the area for children to learn and play in the library. I want to end by sharing a quote that paints the picture of what Timberland Regional Library has provided to people, especially in the past 2 years. A library in the middle of a community is a cross between an emergency exit, a life raft, and a festival. They are cathedrals of the mind, hospitals of the soul, theme parks of the imagination. On a cold, rainy island, they are the only sheltered public spaces where you are not a consumer, but a citizen instead. Thank you very much for your time. And do you have any questions?
All right, thank you very much.
Yes,
Cheryl.
thank you.
Next, we have Sonia, who's going to talk about probation services.
Good evening. So I'm just gonna pass around the document that I have before you today, which is the Adult Probation Services Agreement for the new year. You may recall that last July, we implemented for the first time the Probation Services Program in our court. And we contracted with Sandra Bolivia, who is also does probation services with Olympia Municipal Court. So we're gonna do another year contract. The current one we have expires July 1st of this year. And the one you have before you is I'm gonna bring it to next week's council meeting and ask that if Mayor Pinto sign, well, ask for a motion to let him approve and sign the contract for 1 more year. And there's not gonna be any impact to our budget. All of these probation fees are being paid by the defendants themselves. And there isn't any additional cost to them other than just the probation fees, $250 for most of them. And so 100% of those costs remain with the city, which will continue to fund this position. The wording on this document is the same. The only thing that has changed is the amount of hours. We increased them from 16 hours to 20. The salary would be from $560 a month. It will now be $700. And that's the only changes on the content of the document. So again, I'm just gonna bring this forward the next week's meeting. And I did share with Holly and Lynn at our public safety committee meeting before this meeting. And so I will take any questions you guys have any at this time. I'll be afraid to ask. I don't know. Yeah,
You said this is the second year for this, correct?
this is on the second year, yes.
For the first year, how effective was it when it was put together? Was it something that was good? It was a good resource for the city to have available?
Yes, it has been a great addition to our court. I was explaining to Lynn and Holly already by now that we don't have specific, like real numbers right now. When I did talk to Sandra, our probation clerk, she did say that 1 year really isn't enough to give you very good numbers for statistics, but she did already start working on a document to show us where we were at before this program and where we're gonna be by the end of this year. And hopefully by then we'll have more numbers. I do know that just with our court proceedings, we have seen a very big difference. So the amount of cases that make it to our calendar for non-compliance are very, very small compared to those that we used to have before that. So yes, it has been a great resource, and I think it's gonna get better. We're learning from this. It was the first year, so there's a lot to learn, a lot more that we can do to make it more efficient. And so I wanna continue your support.
I would like to see the data first ahead of time, if we could, based on, we've had a year, so you have a year of data. I'm a data guy, so I like seeing numbers.
So are you talking about seeing data before next Tuesday, before this?
You want me to-
issue?
If you want me to vote to approve it, it would be very helpful to say, yes, the data supports. Because right now we're saying, yeah, it's good, you should just approve it because we did it for a year. But I like facts. Whatever data this position provides and does.
Could you give?
Can I give a concrete answer saying, yes, this is a needed position that we need? I need something to back it, not just say, yeah, we should have it. I need some concrete.
She shared with us, and I don't know if we can get those numbers, she shared with us like about the non-compliance, that was a big help. Is there any way for you to gather? Because you said she's kind of on these people, that you guys are
Right,
having
she's
to do,
kind of
I
like
mean,
babysitting them in
you
a
should
way to
babysit,
make sure
right?
they're compliant with the treatment and things like
Right.
that, where in the past, before Cassandra, it was my clerk Donnie and myself that would take turns monitoring these cases, which are many of them. and besides doing our other duties. So there has been a difference. So I can try to get at least the numbers for you on from the calendar side of what it was before and to what it is now. But I will also reach out to Sandra and see if she can try to have that report by next Tuesday that she's currently working on. I don't know if that would be helpful.
Maybe even a number of, oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to get clarified, even though we can't get the numbers, the fact, one of the things I just heard you say is that it actually freed up your clerks to actually do more work. In other words, we don't have to, by having this probation officer, we don't need to look at possibly hiring another clerk to cover everything that gets done as the city grows and
So-
works get filled.
Right, so by having this adult probation clerk, it did free up that time of her not having to monitor for myself. And like, at least for me, it allowed me to spend more time on administrative work, which is what my duties are. And it allowed her to concentrate more on court docketing, being more efficient on getting the court documents that come out of court every day into the computer system. Because we have a time frame to get whatever comes out of court into the system within a certain amount of days. So that became more efficient on her side, since we don't have to monitor that. And, but yeah.
No, thank you.
Are we doing hand raising in this?
I would prefer not to, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not that formal, but if you
So-
start yelling.
This is independent contractor position.
Yeah.
So it's just flat fee per month, and we don't have the cost of benefits or anything like that.
So this-
She's getting paid less than we are, I guarantee she's doing a lot more work.
No, thank you.
I get what you're going, just.
Give me reason to say yes.
Yeah.
You know,
And so, no, yes, you are correct. This is a contractor and this is not a union represented. So she does not get benefits or anything like that. It's no impact to the city's budget. It's coming directly from the commission costs that the companies pay themselves. And we're not adding additional costs to them, since they already indigent and they don't have the means to pay. We work with them on a very minimal amount, so they can, so that they're able to pay them.
So the 20 hours a month, that's the cap, right? Not to
Yes,
go over 20
right,
hours
exactly.
a month.
Exactly.
And that relates to 35.
Yes, that is correct.
That's what, so that's it, for 20 hours a month?
Well, for right now, yes, it's just a part-time. And so this is just, that's why it's only a one-year contract. As we work with the new budget, I'm sure that I may have more additional information for you. Maybe will be, if I get those specific numbers and the need for this to become a possible full-time, I'll have the data to support that.
Because that's only 240 hours a year. It's pretty minimal, yeah?
It's probably, that's
Is that all that's needed? I mean, that's,
currently.
So, no, the data that she's starting to put together for me is gonna show that we actually need a full-time person. But,
A 40-hour week person.
yes,
right now it's just 20 hours a month.
right now it's just 20 hours a month. And
yeah, it's
But
nice to see how
again,
many
we're gonna have
cases there
data.
are versus,
right,
you know, before and after the program,
right,
you know. Before and after, basically, you know,
right.
the
No,
last past year, like, okay, is
Right.
this an effective program? Is only 20 hours enough? Is it plenty? Do we need more? Based on this caseload, what's a caseload like?
and again, she's putting that data together, so you will have more information.
I have a related question. We've been talking about for a while about that. work style.
Right.
So,
And I thought you would probably ask me about that, so I have been having conversations with, Andrew Gelsey from Pierce County, work group, because you had mentioned him, and,
I know theirs is very detailed.
yes. He did provide more detailed information than the Thurston County did for their work group program. This would require, the city hire a full-time person just for this work group. It's, I mean, it's a very detailed,
So I know, like, for instance, with Pierce County, what they do, like, there's more than one for a full-time person, it's not that kind of. Basically, what they contract with this is that's a lot of how they generate the money to pay for it. So like here in town, you know, with seniors involved,
Right.
businesses, whatever, you like contract out.
Right,
Like, hey,
so,
they're gonna come and mow the yard.
right,
Or
so
whatever.
yeah, so for example, for Pierce County, which works very similar like Thurston County work group, they have a small minimal fee that dependents pay to be part of this work group. In Pierce County, it's $30.
Yeah.
And that they pay a week to be part of this program. And so, but the county itself, they contract with county and non-county businesses to allow them to go mow the yard or their, in the warehouses like that. So yes, so it's but again, the $30 minimum fee a week that the dependents would pay to be part of this work program would not be sufficient to cover these.
No,
The
you have
and so
to,
that's where the county comes in and they put it in their budget.
and that, like, a lot of where you're making up the cost is, say, Walmart. It's what they pay for that service. So rather than whatever they're paying, whatever company,
Right.
it's, I don't know.
Yeah, no, so it's definitely something that, to look into and see what it would take, the cost to the city, because obviously all these things that we want to implement or that we would like to see would be great, but it
Or-
comes at a cost to the city.
Since Thurston County has it, is that an option for someone? to
No,
do?
not at this time, not for our, citizens. Because I did look into that, and they not,
It's only for county.
it's only for county matters. in this way. So it would come down to us budgeting for people to do the work group program.
Yeah, I can hear you. So easy.
Tell me, scream. Any other questions? Okay, so we will see you next Tuesday.
We'll see you next year.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Happy. Let's going to talk about boards and commissions appointments.
Can I ask a question, Holly? Well, the library presentation had nothing to do with our new rental area space for that, right? That was just a totally independent update, correct?
Hello. So it's been a little while since we talked about boards and commissions, and I like this setting to have a conversation. So we did have quite a few vacancies. We had one on our Parks Advisory, one on the Arts Commission, one on the Salary Commission, 3 on the Tree Advisory Board, 1 on the Historic, and then 3 Planning Commission members. So we opened up, we advertised the openings, we put information out on our website, we put it out on Facebook, and then we tracked as the applications come in. They have a spot of where to hear about this, and so we've been tracking those just to see where people are hearing about these, so back in April on the 18th, we put it on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee was the first one that was advertised, and that was put on the website. And then on April 20th, we put on, added that to Facebook. We did get 5 applications from different people between April 21st and 28th after those 2 postings. And then on May 5th, we posted on the city website for all the open positions. And on May 3rd, it was same thing, that posting went onto our Facebook page. So we received 7 applications between May 3rd and 4th, and then 7 again between May 12th and 29th. So total, we've received 19 applications for the boards and commissions. The mayor is in the final stages of reviewing those now, and then he's going to make recommendations. They'll come before you at the meeting next week for your final confirmation. But of those 19 applications, 9 of them they saw the ads on Facebook. 3 people saw on the website. 2 people are current volunteers that want to renew their terms. 1 was notified at Arbor Day that there was an opening. And then 4 were just other word of mouth, different people they talked to, and that sort of thing. So, we'll continue as applications come in, we'll continue to track where people have heard of these. So it's good so that we know, where we can put that information out, where we're going to reach people, and, that's.
So Facebook is the highest one.
Facebook is definitely gets the most attention for us.
When, in reference to Facebook, is it just Facebook itself or is it the city's Facebook page?
The
or-
city's Facebook page. And that's, well, when the box says, where did you hear about this? And then they say Facebook, they're not indicating specifically if maybe someone shared the information or not. So we really don't know if it's coming from someone posting about it or they just say Facebook.
So Joe, you're gonna choose the candidates you want and then bring them to us?
Correct.
Yes, the mayor appoints the members, the volunteers, and then council votes to confirm those appointments. So we'll have those on the agendas. It'll come out tomorrow and then they'll come before you guys next Tuesday.
It's just let you know the process that I use. After looking through the applicants that Kathy gives to me, they all have the a full application of why they want to do it and all that. But besides that, I sometimes contact the people directly. I also get our opinions from our staffers. Sometimes, especially like the planning commission, they have people that they think are good, knowledgeable about different stuff, and so I take their consideration as well when I'm making that final decision. Sorry.
Anybody have any other questions?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Wow, water rights, Bodie.
Talk slow.
All right, thank you, council. We've talked through this process several times, through retreat, through different times. I want to make it formal in front of the public and also to you guys about kind of where we're at with water rights, what's going on and what next steps are, so you can be aware of that. As you know, our water rights were published. The final water right was published last month. And there's an appeal period that happened. We're currently waiting for that appeal period to finish. Fingers crossed, we should have some answer by the end of the week or shortly next week. And as soon as we have that, there's things will start initiating. So I just want to get you guys ahead of schedule because there'll be some things on your next agenda that relate directly to this. So first up is plaque process. So we'll have new plaques coming for you that were barred or couldn't go any farther because of water rights, specifically up on the hill to Home Terra, and some other ones that are on the outskirts of town that we couldn't move forward with because we didn't have water rights. So that'll be one of the first things you'll see. You'll see that in your next meeting. The other thing is growth pays for growth. So part of our big system that we did last year was kind of adjust rates to plan for this growth. So we locked in the water rates, we locked in the sewer rates, and we decided not to move forward knowing that this growth was coming. If this growth comes, which we plan for, we should be able to keep rates steady, even revisit rates again in 2 years as growth moves forward, and we can see what we can do with that. Obviously, inflation is really high right now. So just holding steady is a win because nowhere else can do that. Because in any industry that does parts, all your stuff has gone up. We're able to hold steady because we planned that. So it's just good planning on our part and finance departments to do that. If growth doesn't happen, then we would have to revisit rates and see what that looks like in a couple of years. Storage, as you know, council approved Southeast Reservoir design earlier this year. So that'll be coming forward to you as once the design's finished, as a construction item. Our biggest limitation will be storage. Once we get water rights, is you have to be able to store X amount of water in case there's an emergency, in case there's fire, to be able to compensate and battle those kind of things and handle those things. So storage will be our next big limiter in how our growth can go. Cochrane Park upgrade. So before you next council meeting will be the PSA for Skillings and the second half of Cochrane Park. As you know, we did the first half to increase capacity up to 250,000 gallons a day. So that capacity on the second half needs to be done. That'll be increasing the RIBs, which are called rapid infiltration basins. We'll be adding a gazebo area for weddings or other things like that. Adding I call it the Bellagio fountain. It's adding a fountain that is a little more cool in what it does. And the cool news is it's extremely cheap. A normal fountain was only about $100 less than had a fountain of lights. So there'll be some cool features added in the next phase and they'll be coming before you. Cochrane Park. So you know where the current water fountain is at Cochrane Park that hasn't been working. When we do the upgrades, we'll add in an extra little fountain. I know it sounds crazy, But lights, it'll have lights, it'll have time sequences, stuff like that. Music, yeah, so the idea is you'll be able to,
Are you going to change the lights on it so people can?
yes, so we will match the lights to counteract the lights on the water tower, so you can complain about one or the other. But you can't complain about both at the same time. So just be aware of that, so. But it'll be really cool, and it didn't cost much more than the normal fountain. So those Cochran Park upgrades will be coming, those will be instrumental in our water rights, because that recharge, it allows us to access more water from the creek. WRF phase 2, that'll be coming toward you too, so after all of those things, the next big item will be our sewer, and how much water we can treat, how much wastewater we can treat. Our current system is floating anywhere from 50 to 80% capacity, depending on the days. You don't want that in a system where you get high flow days in the summer, or Sundays are the high flow days when everybody's at home, relaxing, and you get that high flow, and we get 80% capacity. So we upgrade the plan ahead of time so we don't ever hit max capacity. They'll be coming to you guys next month. We'll have a contract and a bid. The good news is council already did approve the loan, so we just need to move forward with the contract once we get it. So good job on your guys' part. Transportation upgrades. So I know a big factor that a lot of people complain about or worried about is, well, what are happening with the roads? Why can't you fix the roads? Don't allow any more houses. So what transportation upgrades we're doing is, you see we're doing Mosman right now. Our 6-year transportation plan has everything we can do. We can't really affect 507 and 510, even though we can push on WASDOT. We do as much as possible to get those, the alternate route / bypass done, to add other accesses like roundabouts and whatnot. We're working on those, but we can do stuff on our end, like get we call it the southern bypass, or the mini loop on the south end, where we do the Mosman connection, we do the Tacoma Terra connection to 507. We add more connections so people can go southern the way through, So those upgrades are happening. You also see on your 6-year transportation plan, new sidewalks, other things to access on there. Infrastructure upgrades. So another big concern will be infrastructure upgrades. We already do water main every year. Council, has approved our current water main project we just finished, and we'll be doing a sewer comp plan next year. It'll go through our sewer lines and start upgrading all of our sewer lines in conjunction with our new plan. So good news on that. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is park capacity. So one thing that always addresses with growth is you want to keep managing and having parks that people can use. If you have one park that everybody goes to, eventually it'll overflow. So the good news is we have a dog park coming online. We'll start construction probably in October timeframe on that, and it'll probably, I would imagine, early spring next year we'll open it up. And then we're looking at other possibilities for parks. Public Services Committee will be getting more details on that. There's a possibility of obtaining some more land for parks in the near future. Donated land, which is great. Code updates, just notice code updates. We'll be going through more code updates to make things more streamlined, help the process, increase our height limit to allow the downtown area to really flourish and become a booming business center that everyone loves, with beautiful facades and other things. So we just really we're focused on those code updates as well to kind of make things easier for people. And the biggest one that probably the most people are concerned about is the annexation. So with our water rights, we'll be able to annex the properties in that have been waiting on the outskirts. So what happened, and this is kind of a call as well, is we sent out an email to all properties that had inquired about annexation in the last 20 years. We sent an email to all those property owners saying, if you want to annex, let us know now, we'll get you on the list. So what we're going to try to do is one mass annexation and bring everybody in at once that wants to come in. So there's not I know somebody, or I'm this guy, so I get to go in first. Everybody will get to come in at once. And then from there, we'll do first come, first serve basis. So look forward to that. We've already sent the email out. If you are hearing this now and you would like to annex in with our water rights, please send an email to anyone in planning department, building department, and we will get it to the right person, myself included. I'll give you my email, which might hurt me in the long run. codyc@yelmwa.gov. Email me if you wish to annex in, and you're on the outskirts, we'll get you in there. And if you don't want to annex in, don't worry about it. So those are kind of the big steps we have going forward. I wanted to let you guys know about those and kind of what you're going to see going forward, and the public know about those as well. Any questions?
Inquiring minds would like to know.
Yes.
Do water rights have anything to do with water pressure increase?
So yes and no. So there's a mass confusion about water rights and water.
There is.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that there's no water in the ground, right? We live in this place where it rains all the time and we have glacier water, and for some reason there's no water in the ground. I don't know why people believe that, but they do. There is plenty of water. The ability is we just aren't allowed to access that water. You have to have the right to access that water. So with that right that we're getting, we can now access the water that we have, you know, Southwest Wells, 600 feet, and I'll get to water pressure in a second. Southwest Wells,
On the tip.
yeah, Southwest Wells, 600 feet, water, normally our static water is about 120 feet, so we have 500 feet of water that we're pulling from, which is great. Water pressure is linked to storage, so we pump into our system, we maintain about a 40 PSI rating. If you're up on the hill, it may seem a lot less, like in my house at the very end of the line, I'm not gonna tell you where I live. My house is the very end of the line, I get probably the lowest water pressure of anyone.
Your
in the city.
neighbor has low water pressure. That's
Yeah.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, so we get probably the lowest water pressure in the city, still within limits, and I definitely know if I turn on all my showers and I have my washing machine running and my sinks running, I'm doing dishes, I definitely notice the pressure decline. But if I don't do that, I don't notice that. So what happens when we do storage upgrades, like we put a Southie reservoir, that increases pressure throughout the entire system. And then as we build the upgrades, more storage capacity, pressure will increase. That's where pressure will increase with those storage upgrades, but not with just water rights coming online.
I'm sorry you have low pressure.
That's okay.
Also, you
I'm
can
always
put in a
gonna-
bigger,
What's that?
you can put in a bigger line coming in,
So
would,
you would
right?
think,
Somewhat.
yeah, you would think that a bigger, like you have a bigger line going into your
What's it
house.
called?
What do you
What's
mean?
it called? Coming in,
The service line?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, some people do have a larger service line, so they might have pressure if they turn on everything. So imagine you had like a 1 inch, most people have a 5/8 or what they call 3/4 service line. And if you have everything on, like I just said, your pressure will decrease, you'll notice a decrease in pressure. If you have a larger service line, you wouldn't notice that. Some businesses and stuff have larger service lines. Most houses are 5/8 or 3/4, with a couple of exceptions. Yes,
I
Councilman.
know 507 is state,
Yes.
but do we have control over the lights?
No, we can make recommendations to WASDOT about light timing, but they.
Not timing. Could we look into possibly, let's say 9 PM to 4 AM, changing it to flashing yellows and reds?
That's a good WASDOT question and probably a good police question as well. We can check into it. I don't have the ability to change that. I have the ability to do almost everything else, but I can't change lights, but I can check into it.
Only because like now, with me coming through town at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I know you can stop at red light.
So this is just for you.
No. It's a pretty big council. This is how I see this. You can stop you're coming down the Ave, you're sitting at a red light, there's no one there.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's tons of cities out there that do that, where they switch it over after after a certain time at night up until whatever time in the morning. You just switch it to a flash. Yellows will be the main, and all the cross streets are flashing red.
I can bring up that question in our next WASDOT meeting. I'll bring that up for sure.
The timing of the lights too.
Yeah.
I have a question about the annexation, sorry.
Yes,
That's, you don't have to be in the urban growth area.
you have to be, yeah, in order to be annexed in, you have to be in our UGA. So, our comp plan sets a UGA. In order to adjust the UGA, so say we wanted to adjust it, we'd have to redo our comp plan and get approval from the county to adjust our UGA. So yeah, you have to be in our urban growth area. You can find that map online, of what our urban growth area is. Most people that are in our urban growth area know that. And then those people can annex in. Once we get our borders fixed, then there'd be the idea to revisit that UGA and maybe expand it or however.
And when you said the water rights were published, they are approved and published that they're approved because we're in the appeal part.
Yeah, so when I say published, they're posted online and they're given to all the people that are concerned
But
parties.
they are approved and done.
The final water right is approved, but there's still an appeal process. So any decision that anyone makes, right, can be appealed, right? So that's the benefit of government and public comment is if there's something you don't like about the government, you can take it and appeal it. So it is still in the appeal period. We're hopeful. I was hopeful to have an answer for you today. The person that I called didn't answer, so I will have to wait a day or two to give you an answer, hopefully next week.
When's the deadline? In a week?
The deadline was supposed to be today. So, but I wanna be hesitant.
End of the period.
Yeah, the end of the appeal period was supposed to be today at 5 PM. But I'm suspecting a call from someone, they didn't call me, so I don't wanna say anything. In case something
When was the
crazy.
last time you checked though?
Yesterday at 4.
So
So,
as of yesterday before, we're looking pretty good.
We're
It's
looking
very
good.
unlikely that someone did, and if
Yes.
they did,
I did.
could you explain a little bit about, explain about who can and who can't, you know?
yeah, so, I'll dive a little, so the appeal process is a period where anyone that has standing or reason to appeal water rights for whatever reason can appeal it, right? Several different groups may have a reason to appeal, like They have an older water right, they have belief that something is happening, they don't agree with ecology, whatever have you, they might have a reason to appeal. We are hopeful, the only people that we had some issues with, we didn't have issues, the only people that were concerned about the process, we've talked to and worked through a process with them, and they're all on board with that process. So we don't expect anything, but I never like to count. I was hoping to have an answer, but I don't want to say anything for sure. Yep, so yes. Yes, we're all good on that end. You guys shouldn't have to, council won't have to do anything. The council won't have to do anything from this point on, except for just be happy and excited and see plaques come through.
Sit with those red lights.
Yeah, there's a question from the public, I don't know if you want me to take it. Sure.
Concerning Crawford Memorial Park.
Yes.
Is that fancy fountain?
Yes.
Going to do in the gazebo, will it be done before the 10th and the 11th of September?
No. So those upgrades what we're doing, we're engineering those upgrades. The engineering contract will come before council next week. Those engineering upgrades will take place over the winter, and then the construction will take place early winter, late winter, early fall, and will be open hopefully before next spring.
But it won't
Late
be that.
winter.
No, there won't be any construction taking place until December, January timeframe. Yeah. So we're hopeful for all, so next year we'll have
Fancy lights.
fancy lights, it'll be great. You'll have music playing.
Can have Celtic music and.
You can do, yeah, you can, I mean, I don't know how much music we can pipe in, we can probably pipe in. That's a good idea. So, no, it'll be Cochran Park, it'll be its own special park. It won't be anything like anything you've ever seen before. Yeah. We're going crazy, yeah. No, it'll be really awesome. It'll be like right now it already is a destination because it's so beautiful, but now you're gonna have something that will draw people to the area. Like our water tower, you'll have this awesome thing that'll just, someone else will be like, wow, I wanna go to Young because they have all this cool stuff. And they have great small businesses.
I don't know anybody outside of town that really wants to come to Cochran Park, but.
Not
I'd
yet.
go to
Not
it.
Not yet.
Wait till there's a fancy light comes out.
Yeah,
That's the way we wanna keep it though. We like our little parks that people don't know about.
that's right. It is a secret little park.
Yeah, those gonna
The
be,
kids there and they love it.
so,
So, question.
yes.
Back on the annexation,
Mhm.
we would be required to continue infrastructure to those properties, right?
Yes and no. So how that works when a property annexes in, if they're doing a development, they'll be required to extend the water sewer lines themselves. Similar to what happened on the Hill of Tomatera, they had to extend the water and sewer line, put all that infrastructure in, then they turn it over to the city. So that normally is when they annex in, they'll have a development process and what they're going to do. So that'll be, we won't extend it, they will extend it to themselves, to the development.
They pay for it.
Yeah, they'll pay for the extension, which is great. We get great infrastructure, developers get a great place to build, and we're all happy.
Well, say you have a 5-acre parcel and you still want to build on it and annex it and drill a well, can you do that?
No. So that's the benefit of being in the city is you have to be attached to a water line.
But then you have to
Throw that
pay
home
for it.
before you.
Yeah, you'll have to pull that, well, yeah, and,
No, the road gets capped.
and here's this is a good, we can dive a little bit into that, it seems like there's interest. What happens like in a county where you have septic tanks and you have wells, is septic tanks normally have a drain field, those drain fields slowly leach into the ground, and eventually over hundreds of years, your well gets contaminated because your septic tank is leached in. When you get a city like us, you have a well that's 600 feet deep, that's not getting leached, that's 100,000 years old, the water we're pulling is old, it's not leached in, and we have a sewer system that treats your sewer water, so it's not leaking back into your backyard and seeping into the ground. So the benefit of now the wells are more protected because the city is processing that water and processing the sewer water coming out. Whereas if everyone had a well, the well water would be contaminated because everybody has a septic tank, right? So it's a good benefit in the long run to the environment and to people because the wells will stay healthy.
Well, that's
And
not
you would
to say
have
that
to-
everyone that has a septic tank ends up with a tank.
You are 100% correct. You are,
If you don't take care of it.
yes. If you don't take care of it and if your well's shallow, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And the good news is in the city setting, there's things that go wrong too. In the city setting, we have a 600-foot well that, in our lifetime, we're never gonna see that thing again, which is great.
So you would be required, if you have a well on your property, you'd be required to decommission it?
No, you're only required, so if you already have a well, you're protecting, until your well fails. Once your well fails and you have to drill a new well, then you would be required to hook up the city water.
But can you hook up and keep your well?
No, so once your well
For irrigation or
fails,
something.
you have to decommission your well. If your well is still operational, yeah, if your well doesn't fail, you can keep your well, or you can hook up city water, you can have a choice. So example, we have people on Mill Road that are on, there's water service lines to them right now. We put new water service lines in. They can hook up to that water service line, or they can keep their well. If their well fails, we now require them to hook up a service
But
line.
if the property is not developed with a well, they can't use their well to
Yeah,
develop,
normally-
they have to bring in the sewer and use the.
Yeah, so if you imagine you have a farm that has a well that is meant for one house, and you wanna build a 60 lot development on that, that one well is not going to provide you with enough water to
But
power.
could you keep it
600.
for irrigation or something?
No, once,
You have to, like,
you have to cap it. Now, if they wanted to build a single house on that and they wanna use that one well with their single house, they probably wouldn't annex in because they wouldn't wanna do that, right? So. It's a complicated process. Well, any more questions?
For the areas that are looking at being annexed, are there already developments there? And if so, because they had to follow the county codes, how much different from the county to the city are the codes in reference to like sidewalks, various other things that we all of a sudden by annexing are now required to go in and have to upgrade?
So really good question. So a lot of the parcels that are annexing in are single family farmland, agricultural land, so they're not developed. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of a single development that's county that would like to come in. And county's restrictions for residential development are so minimal that most developers don't want to buy county land because you can't put as many houses in that. You can't do the cookie cutter house. Yeah. So none of them I can think of off the top of my head have that issue. There will be one or two issues we might run into where something's existing non-conforming use where maybe there might be like an automotive area that is in like an automotive repair shop that's in industrial. And when we annex it in, you normally don't have automotive repair shops in industrial. So you might have a couple like that pop in, but I don't think everyone is very interested in doing what their annexation is. They're like, their zone, they're R6 or R4, so they can build houses because it's still a good market for housing and a lot of those developers want to come and build houses. And there are different codes that they would have to follow and they know that. There's literally developers calling us daily that want to get these parcels annexed and start building them out. So. Oh.
Let's go down.
Alright. Mayor.
All right, two things. I sent out an email to you yesterday regarding this meeting as well as the AWC conference going on later this month. And I would encourage you all to attend if you can. It's really good programming for just basically making you a better council member, having resources for you regarding Robert's Rules of Order to the Open Public Meetings Act, just everything that you need to be a successful council member is at that meeting. Plus, you get a network with other council members and the mayors of their cities, towns, and bounce ideas off them, see what they're doing, what's new with them and stuff like that. So it's good. I've attended it a couple times now, twice. I'll be down there this year. It is part of our training budget, for legislative training budget. That's one of the biggest things that's budgeted for that. It's meant for that. So I would encourage you to use it. And if so, just let us know and we'll, if you want us to sign you up, we can do that. If you want to do it and get reimbursed, I can do that too. But let us know either way if you're planning on attending and so we can prepare a little bit for it. Other than that, we'll be swearing in Chief Rob Carlson at the June 28th meeting. Chief Stanshold's last official day will be on June 27th.
You're fired.
Get that smile on your face.
Are we having a gala party?
We will be having a black tie affair,
Okay.
gala for. No, if we do something though, the council will be informed, we'll, make sure you all know about it. You'll probably won't know about it, if we do, so it's probably not the appropriate place to say one way or the other if there is. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay. So I guess we'll go around. I don't like calling them initiatives, but if you have an initiative, we'll just round the table.
I get one vote.
Well, is this more like reports?
No,
No, it's-
no,
What do you
it's
wanna do?
initiatives. I mean,
What's something you want to have?
yeah.
I think I got it.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
What you got going on?
Not that I haven't said before, so
Okay, I just have a
I was
couple.
gonna keep my code every month. At meeting.
So I got my first voicemail through the system, and it was a little, I don't want to say it was confusing, but the gentleman was very nice. He had some concerns about flooding on his land. I did send out just an email because I wasn't sure how that process worked. I wasn't sure if maybe he had called everybody or if there was an option to say, send this voicemail to everybody, which I since found out apparently not correct. There's no way. So I called the gentleman back. He lives on the outskirts of Yelm. He's not, I don't have his exact address, so he's not sure if he's in the city. I'm just trying, I told him I would at least bring this up, that if anybody had any ideas, he's desperate for ideas. His property is flooding because of beavers. And apparently the latest dam that's causing the problems is on private property, and my understanding is the people that own the private property are not letting anybody go on there to address it. He's losing all of his trees, he's lost his walking trails. He said he's talked with Fish and Wildlife, Thurston County, the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm just wondering if anybody, even you, Cody, has any ideas.
What about that beaver people that I was talking about last time?
Oh, the
Beaver
beaver.
people. I can't remember their names.
Well-
Well, Scully River Council speaking thing.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you could at least email me that information and I can share that with him. I'm gonna get his address to see if he's at, do you know who he is?
Absolutely not, we'll talk after.
All right, because the first thing, obviously, I need to find out if he's actually in the city. He was very pleasant. He's not, he's frustrated.
Oh,
So I will talk to you and I will get some information from you.
I know beavers are tenacious. I grew up with beavers, they're tenacious.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah, sorry. They are very tenacious. Even if they aren't in the city limits, so we can still help them by finding resources.
And
that
that's,
we can.
and that's what I told him. When I called him, I told him, I cannot, promise you anything, but I certainly can talk to him. So that was all I had.
For me, I have a couple of, one of them is in reference, I finally got the paperwork from the Regional Housing Commission conference that we had. I'm going to get some packets put together and get it out to everybody so you can see the data. As I said, from that conference, the big thing that stuck in my head was in 2018, this is data was collected in 2018, Yelm falls within that 30%. Within Thurston County, 30% of our population is what they call housing unstable. It means that they are spending 30% or more of their income just for the roof over their head, not their utilities, not their food, nothing like that. And it's actually higher. And so, and then there's a 1% that is actually homeless. As you see what's going on with inflation and a variety of other things, that if inflation keeps going up and pay does not keep up with it, you all of a sudden have that housing unstable starts going into homelessness, and people who were not housing unstable also become that. So I want to kind of share that data with you so that we can maybe try to find ways, not the city doing it, but working together on organizing with organizations. If I remember correct, Councilmember Blair, you're on the homeless task force?
there hasn't been a meeting, but
Okay.
Yes, but there has.
Okay, but I mean, it's something like that, that I want to work with them to see what we can do to organize the community members and the services here to be prepared for if that starts happening a lot. Yes.
it sounds like there's a lot of focus on pay. Pay not keeping up with costs, well. Minimum's all just, I don't know of anywhere out there that's paying less than $15 an hour. Pay rates are going through the roof everywhere. I know the job I did 4 years ago that was making 18 now pays 25 plus. Everyone's making more money and now everything just costs more. So all that extra money that you made, you're actually making less because everything costs way more than whatever percentage of pay increase. So pay isn't the issue. They need to figure out what the real issues are and attack that, not run around saying $15 an hour, and next it's gonna be 25, because that's not the fix.
That's not
So
where I was
pass
going.
my message on to them, figure out the real issues and worry about that.
Well,
Please.
as I said, I just wanted to share the data so that everybody could see that information.
I don't know if I got it right, but I'm just listening. I'm not a mortgage broker, but when they qualify you for a mortgage for a home, your debt to income ratio is 42%. That's what the average is just to get a loan. So you're saying they're at 30% and they're falling into homelessness. That
No, they're
makes
saying
no sense.
30% just on your housing.
Just
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
That's not.
No, that's not total DTI.
Okay, that's not
DTI would
DTI.
include your housing, all of your debt, everything together.
Yeah, but most of it is the house. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in.
No, as I said, when I get that information, I'll share the packets with you. As I said, it's just because I'm working with the Regional Housing Commission as well as other organizations. Just to brief you on it, right now, they're getting ready to, we're looking at restructuring how it's done, because right now, it's Olympia has all the services. Olympia, for the county as a whole, if I remember correct, everything, Olympia has almost all the services. Yes, the county has a few, Lacey doesn't have a lot, Tumwater doesn't have a lot, and if you know southern Thurston County, none of the cities have social workers or anything else like that to help out with that. So that's why it's something that just to kind of educate, have us be aware of, and maybe we can, work with within our community to kind of have a plan for when it starts happening in our community, if it starts happening.
Would they, do they know by chance the ratio of how many houses in Yale is it rental versus homeowner occupied? Do you think they would have that info?
You can get that from the census data. Sure, I think the city itself should have access to that information on how many are rental versus how many are actually owner occupied.
Yeah, because I know like my neighborhood's mostly rental. Cause we're military,
It
but
doesn't, but that, as I say,
I'm
it's one of
curious
those
to
things,
see.
right? But I mean, as I say, it's just one of those things. So we, as council members, are aware of that because as you're noticing, Olympia is starting to, they're working on relocating some of the camps that have built up, and it's nicer weather and buses, people could all of a sudden end up coming out to southern Thurston County and start occupying places. And so, that we may see that happen, we may not, but just something to be aware of, that we need to kind of make sure that we have, I would like to try to see us have something in place for our public safety officers to be able to, when they do come across somebody who's homeless or having issues, that there's a good listing of that's organized. So that's one thing.
do that.
No, I know, as I said, I know they have that. I'd like to have us, kind of really working on trying to develop something
See what
with that.
I feel like what we need to do is even these groups, county and Olympia, they don't want to admit to the fact that there's homeless as a general term, and then there's homeless and once you hear that term, what you think of. The people that they may not be able to afford their own place, so they're shacking up with a friend or they're staying with family, they're all counted as homeless. However, the homeless, when you hear that term, you're thinking of people who's down in tents in Olympia, Seattle, Tacoma, all that. All of those people, and I was on I know you're looking at me sideways, I was on the train of hoorah and let's help people, let's not punish them, let's not do that, let's try to do the right thing. Nothing helps them. They don't want the help, they just want to live the life of what they're doing. So unless in this town, we're gonna be like, you know what, we're just gonna accept people coming through, setting up drug camps, and it is what it is, because let's talk real, and these groups, they need to talk real. Those camps are drug infested junkies, is what it is. And all of these programs and everything that they want to do, it all sounds great, it makes people feel good, but those people don't care. All they want is handouts and whatever it's going to take to get the next fix. It's very few in those camps that are legitimately going to take some help. Now, as far as like help for homeless and resources and all that, how many people are actually going to help? Well, let's help them. I'm all for helping people, but I'm not for helping people that it's a waste of time and energy.
Within Yelm alone, from the age of 13 to 25, there's at least 90.
Those are the
And,
kids.
yeah, 90 of them are actually homeless. They aren't couch surfing. They are not doing anything like that. They're actually homeless. That's here in Yelm. The 13 to 18-year-olds, I don't have that exact number from the conversations I've had with some people, but those are actual high school students and junior high students that are homeless. The from what was briefed to me, that the high school actually opens up a little bit early for them, so they can go in and shower, clean up, so that their fellow classmates don't know that they are homeless.
There's 90 students that do this.
There's 90.
currently?
Wait,
There are 90.
are they actually,
They are-
it's like
There's
James was
not
saying,
90 people in
couch
jail sleeping
surfing.
in tents.
The reason I say this, because I do the skate park outreach as well, and so I'm talking with them. They're considered homeless, like you said, but they're not physically living on the street or sleeping on the streets. They're sleeping in friends' houses and I'm
No,
just
no,
trying to
it's-
understand.
That's why I'm having these conversations with people to get this, to find that information. Now, within Yelm, it's not necessarily within the city of Yelm, it's also the surrounding area that comes to the Yelm schools. So, I mean, these, as I said, it's 13 to 25-year-olds that are in that situation.
That are 90, that are not even sleeping.
They're not.
And where are their parents? They're minors.
They,
They have no parents.
Runaways.
they're runaways, or they are people who, they're youth that have been disowned, thrown out of the house because of whatever, the situation may be.
Yeah, I just wonder, that's a different,
Or their
not
parents,
so.
Then I'll take them.
But no, as I say, as I get the package put together and share with you, and as I develop more information, have people, be able to kind of take the opportunity to have it so we are aware of it and have an understanding so we can start looking at, as I said, I'm not looking at the city trying to put it within the budget to take care of these things. I'm looking at it as where we have the understanding so we can utilize the network and our resources that are within our community to try to help out.
Are they in contact with, there's a couple different groups that,
Well, the one that I
Interact with a lot of
got the
kids,
information from was
especially
the ARC.
Yeah.
Why can't they sleep at the Boys and Girls Club?
And again, these are some issues that we could probably
Not
be,
that for that.
How's the art getting this information?
they're actually getting people who go walking and talking to individuals.
So
And
this is from the ARC.
So it's not a government agency? Or
it's not a government agency, it is them going out and.
Do you know the accuracy? Have you gone out with them? Do you know
I-
that these numbers are accurate? Or you just repeating what they're saying?
I'm getting the information, I'm slowly doing the research as within the.
Let's be careful when we're throwing out these numbers, because these might not be accurate numbers that they're giving you. We need to validate them as well.
No, as I said, I understand, that's why I said I'm putting together the packets.
But when you say that there's 90 children homeless, and it's all they need to start reporting that there's all these homeless folks, I just want you to realize, as a city official, when you're saying these things, that it now becomes official. So just be careful by citing some of these sources.
Oh, no problem, I can do that. And then the other initiative that I'm working with is with some of the veteran organizations out there on helping them have their resources available for when they want to have an event at the park or at the community center, so we can they would like to be a little bit more proactive on getting some of the activities going on. Veterans Day getting ready to come up in November, so I'm going to be working with them to help get that, make sure that they have timelines, everything's turned in properly with the city, so that there's a support from the city to be able to have those activities, as well as some other things. And those are my two big initiatives that I'm working on at this time. Thank you.
Nothing. I don't really have an initiative, but I did something fun. Every time I go to another city, I'm like, okay, what are you guys doing? So I happened to get invited to this, to the Renton wine walk. You know, in all the things.
Sounds like something you would do.
Chief. Well, it just
Stop right
happened.
there, Cheryl.
Yeah, let's.
No, but there's a good twist to this. It was very, very cool. They had like 10 different wineries and they placed a winery in a business, opened the doors, opened the main street of town, and you bought a ticket for $40. and you sampled wine over here in the coffee shop and bought their produce, and you went over next door to the quilting shop and bought a couple of blankets. And so everybody's drinking and going to all the stores, and it was so fun, you guys. So then I found
It's so
out.
fun, it's
that
fun
the-
as you went, right?
Yeah, you buy more and more, it got more and more fun. The store people were selling lots of things. There was even a bra store, and I'm like, I'll be back, but
Why are you
not
looking at
kidding.
me?
I'm gonna buy a bra with all these men drinking wine in here, but anyway, so after I talked to the people, it turns out
Secret isn't a secret.
the $40 that you paid to get in went to the city's beautification fund. See how it all ties in? So anyway, I got that contact name, and when I have nothing else to do, I'll organize.
Talk about the city of.
I'm gonna tell you.
Official.
Oh, did you already think of it? We're gonna do that.
Yeah, that's
You're making a perfect mark.
I was gonna say that, that's been done before, I think maybe 6 years ago.
Well, they had the party with a purpose type thing, where you went around and drank, but this was for wine, and at the end, of course, you went and ordered your cases of wine. They-
And
No,
Purchase
this is
some-
an actual wine.
But-
Yeah,
put on
You
the-
wanna know wine more?
It sounds like a good
Anyway, it's really,
idea.
really fun, so it's something to put on our back.
Yeah, maybe we'll consider that and work with the chamber of commerce.
Especially down our main little drive there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
For the good of the order, okay, done.
Done. All right, wonderful.
Good meeting, everyone.
This on the phone.
But not really.